Hello everyone, my name is Veritas and welcome back to Destiny. Now today I wanted to go over quickly, I wanted to discuss Crimson Doubles from last week, and I'm also testing out how Destiny works with my capture software, seeing if that'll fix it. The last Fallout video came out fine on your end, but in editing it was a guessing game. It was basically the entire thing was black and I just had to kind of hope I edited it correctly. Came out pretty well for not being able to see what I was doing, but anyway, Crimson Doubles, the fucking cream of the crop, creme de la creme, fucking, upper echelon level of try-hardy, sweaty, trials 2v2 bullshit happened last week, and with the thought and the promise of possibly ghost shells up to 320, the fancy ghost shells that are, only available then and never again, and the drop rates being broken on those ghost shells themselves. And, the fucking shaders and the emblem and stuff. The drops for Crimson Doubles weren't necessarily the most impressive. No one's going to really say that, especially since the drop rates were broken, officially mentioned by Bungie, technically, saying that if you had completed 7 matches or technically completed the bounty for doing 7 games, and that's participating, not, touch of malice, suiciding, rubber banding your controller and going to bed and being a dick, and also not teabagging with the stupid hotline bling dance. But, if you participated in that and played 7 games, you're going to get a 320 ghost shell of either Sugary or Crimson Descent. Bungie says it's 50-50 chance of being Sugary or Crimson. I'm going to guess that 99.9% of players are going to be getting the Sugary shell, as I don't believe Bungie one bit when they say 50-50 chance, and even if it is 50-50, you've seen how things drop like Strike Loot, where you pretty much get the thing to drop and then it has the worst rolls possible, and you're wondering how that's even remotely possible to happen multiple times in a row, but that's how Destiny works. So I would not hold out for most of you getting a 320 Crimson shell. Away from the loot more, however, I want to voice my opinion, since it is the internet and I can do that in a complainative manner and be one with the ecosystem, is that I hated Crimson Doubles. A few polls on Twitter from the large Destiny YouTubers or Twitch streamers, or, the chats and YouTube comments alone, kind of alluded to people being 50-50 near the beginning or near the end. I would say around the middle, people were 50-50. In the beginning, people liked it, but nearing the end, it kind of set in that this is not a game mode that was necessarily perfectly made, especially since it was marketed to us as a game mode to play with your lover, to play with your Valentine, to play with your partner, your guardian, your sidekick, the last word to your first curse, that kind of thing. And if any of you actually played it with your significant other, or your little light, then you probably noticed that it was matchmaking in the old terms of the way, where everything was super laggy and painful, and it was probably one of the more miserable ways of playing Crucible in Destiny to date. It being like a hyper-focused version of Trials of Osiris with no light disadvantage means that it was basically what Trials would be like if there wasn't light disadvantage, or light advantage rather, and that's basically Thorn and people exploiting the special ammo buff. I don't necessarily want to talk about the special ammo buff in this episode. I kind of wanted to make a separate video for that. I'll mention it here. In fact, I'll just talk about it here. That's fine. Yeah, I'll use that as a separate. No, it's not big enough for me a separate video. So the special ammo thing that happened is you don't get special ammo at the start of every round. This has, however, basically given everyone a new way to exploit the system and be a shitty person. What I mean by that is, if you play Destiny in the fairest sense of the word, you follow the rules, you go by what the game tells you, and you don't try to exploit the system in any way to make it, to get an unfair advantage, or to get an advantage over your team, in a way other than pure skill and ability, and possibly luck at sometimes. Bungie has removed special ammo from spawn, and you can only get it from picking up the boxes that spawn further in, much further in, and there are a few ways to exploit that system. Spawning in with a sidearm, using the sidearm's inherent perk to have ammo on every respawn will allow you to have special ammo on first spawn, and then once you're dead, you can just switch to your secondary of choice and hold over ammo. Also, with light not being effective or being in play, people can use Icebreaker, which regens a shot every 8 seconds, which basically negates the entirety of the whole, no special ammo until later in the game by, working the system over. Bungie did release, people voiced their concerns immediately with that, saying, what about Invective? What about the regen perks? Are those going to spawn with ammo? And Bungie says, no, they're not going to spawn with ammo. And while that sounded to some people like, okay, good, they've thought about that, they're not going to spawn with ammo, in the first round, they didn't, technically. But in 8 seconds or very shortly thereafter, Icebreaker will have, its shots up, and you'll be able to be sniped by that when you are playing with the rules and not having special until further into the game. This is a major issue for me personally, since I don't necessarily find it fair to people that don't game the system, don't exploit the system, people that don't know about it necessarily. I would say just ignorance is kind of like not necessarily a fighting point, but more rather that just in general, I don't think that that's a good move on their part. It feels to me like Bungie has attempted to remove some issues and instead introduced a new way for people to be assholes about something. Because I've talked to a few of my friends on this and a few people that play Destiny with me, and I've mentioned this before, and pretty much all of them have come to the conclusion that it really doesn't feel like it's fair, because if you want to succeed in in the special ammo affected Crucible playlist modes, you have to have a sidearm, and then you have to switch, or you have to use Icebreaker, and then you have to switch. Like, you have to use a sidearm, Icebreaker, or Invective if you want to be effective in, that rhymes cute, if you want to be, if you want to have any efficacy in the first few rounds of a game, and usually the first few rounds can determine the outcome of a game. I'm curious to see how Trials of Osiris behaves with that. I wasn't very much into Destiny for the last few weeks. I've been busy with Fallout 4. Those of you that have been watching the Fallout 4 Let's Play, thank you. You can go watch that if you're interested. It's actually kind of fun, but basically, I've been kind of staying away from Destiny. I came back for the Crimson Doubles update, or the February update, to see what it was like, and then playing with the special ammo buff, I felt like I was being punished for following the rules, essentially. And like I said, I feel like it was introducing a new way for people to go around the system and be shitty people. Now, you might be thinking, wow, you're a whiny bitch. I bet you get teabagged a lot. Man, I hope you don't ever fucking get on my fire team because you're terrible. Why don't you just play with a sidearm and Icebreaker, you whiny bitch? Well, I could, but I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't be required to play with a gun, like, to be almost forced to play with a gun to have an advantage is stupid to me. It's really the first time that something in that nature has occurred. It's almost, it reminds me a little bit of like when in year one you wanted to get into a hard mode Crota and you had to be a light level and you had to have a Yallarhorn. It almost felt like you're being excluded, but you don't even, it's not the same though. Because with that, you could find groups or make your own groups that didn't require Yallarhorn. In Crucible, since it's, player versus player, it feels like you're being forced to use that to be able to succeed. And that, to me, just seems like a broken system. I can't quite phrase it correctly, but I hope some of you guys understand what I'm trying to say by that. But it frustrates me to no end. It definitely frustrates me to no end. And I don't want to, sound like I'm, butthurt or something. I'm not. I'm just frustrated that there's a new way for the system to be worked around, and instead of, it taking effect and doing what it was supposed to do, it's basically just being like, fuck it, there's a way around that, let's just do that instead. And it's just like, if you want to win, you have to do that too, and I don't think that's quite fair to the player base. But that's those are just my 2 pieces of glimmer. I know some people probably don't feel the same way, or just, fucking use a sidearm, asshole, but, it shouldn't have to. But that's my opinion on that. I wanted to talk over that real quick. So that's 2 topics, 10 minutes. That's pretty good. Hopefully this video is not fucking shattered. But, yeah, so I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any comments regarding Crimson Doubles, was it fun for you? Did you hate it? Did you get good loot? Did you not? What is your opinion on the special ammo fucking change thing? Do you feel the same way I do? Do you think I'm a whiny bitch? Preferably don't use vulgar terms in the comment section, but it's YouTube, so go ahead. Anyway, so that's all I have for that. If you have anything to mention about your opinions on the topics, go ahead and leave a comment below. So yes, I want to thank you guys all, again all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, a rating much appreciated. And of course, until the next video, whatever it may be, have a great day, everyone.